Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, run through the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, as we've got cold air drifting southwards at the moment with wintry showers through to Scotland and perhaps northern England through the rest of today. Into tomorrow it will be colder quite widely, with temperatures not getting much above sort of 7 or 8 degrees, with harsh overnight frosts tonight and for northern and eastern areas into Tuesday. However, into Tuesday morning, we're going to be seeing wet and windy weather arrive back in from the southwest. Got to keep our eyes on Friday as well. As we did allude to in yesterday's video, there is the potential for quite a severe low pressure system to develop on the southern side of sort of a mother low that is sitting to our north and our west, and it could be a named storm. There is the potential there. And looking at the latest UKV, there is the potential for 60, 70 or even more miles per hour winds developing within that low pressure system. Again, each run has different intensities and different positioning, but it is one we do need to keep our eyes peeled on. Regardless of if it does get named or not, it will be quite a lively system, so we'll probably be seeing some heavy rain and some very gusty winds through Thursday into Friday, but we will have to confirm that nearer the time. We'll have a look at the longer range, look at the GFS, GM, ECMWF and the Ensembles for what we have in store through the early part of April, and it's not looking encouraging for anything really warm or dry. There is signs we will see high pressure around, but it's looking more likely to develop to our north and our west, giving northerly or easterly airflows. Being early April, it's not going to produce anything cold, nowhere near cold enough for any snow, or at least widely any snow. Biggest issue from it would probably be some overnight frosts, but other than that it would just be the cold feel and a lot of cloud and showers dragging in from the north and the east. That is looking the most likely scenario, but it's not the only scenario, so I wouldn't guarantee that. But looking at the latest runs and the ensemble members, it's looking average to below average and fairly unsettled into early April. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. So if we do start on the live radar, you can see the big area of low pressure down to our south and our east that has now cleared away. Still got a few lingering showers as I'm recording this around 1 PM in the far southeast, but that should clear over the next hour or two. Quite a lot of heavy rain has fallen through many parts of England and Wales over the course of last night, so hopefully for the rest of the day it will be drier. There will be showers pushing in the north and the east, and these could have a wintry flavour to them, especially through Scotland. There you can see quite a lot of these showers are turning to snow as much colder air does drift in. But most areas inland it should be fairly dry, but it will be turning increasingly colder throughout the rest of the day as that colder air mass does sink southwards, with an overnight frost quite likely for many this evening. Now if you put on those temperatures as of around middays 1 PM, you can see it is a lot colder in the north, those lighter blues becoming more widespread and the yellow starting to disintegrate. Further southwards, because of the rain and cloud, it's not getting all too warm today, but it'll just be on a downwards trend over the next 12 hours for most areas get towards freezing, so those lighter blues tonight, but top temperatures maybe 9 or 10 degrees or maybe a couple of degrees above that down in the far southwest or across parts of the Republic of Ireland in some regions. Now if you look at the UKV and have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the course of the next 5 days, you can see that low pressure system drifting away out into Europe now, and you can see those showers pushing in from the north. They could be quite heavy at times through this afternoon, but they should fade away by the evening as high pressure does move back in. Now, once that high pressure moves in, there will be clear skies for many, and we will see overnight frosts develop. And it will be really quite chilly into tomorrow, and through tomorrow afternoon will stay pretty cold. But the one positive is it will be pretty much bone dry for most areas, and it will be fairly sunny, especially through central and eastern areas. It'll be really quite a nice day tomorrow, apart from feeling a little bit cold with that wind chill. Beyond that, through Monday night into Tuesday, could still be a frost overnight in northern and eastern areas, but you can see a weather front approaching, bringing in unsettled southwesterlies once again. Could be some snow on its leading edge through Scotland and northern hills, but nothing too significant, for it does go very unsettled into Wednesday. A lot of cloud and heavy batches of precipitation around. So I definitely know I would prefer that colder, dry conditions than these milder but very unsettled conditions. As we head into Thursday, there could be some quite heavy thundery showers breaking out in the east there. Look at those, really quite heavy, and even across parts of the Republic of Ireland, not as organised, but still really quite intense. Got to keep our eyes on that. Some of these reds appearing, indicating torrential rain, and potentially some thunderstorms. And then all eyes on the south as this area of low pressure system, area of low pressure moves in, really intense. You can see that from this big hook, and that just shows you how developed it is. Really intense low pressure system, very heavy rain for the last day of March. And we look at the mean sea level pressure, and you can see down to 980 millibars in the centre, so pretty deep. And if we do have a look at the wind gusts on its southern edge, seeing 70 or 80 miles per hour. Again, it's not a huge wind field, but it is strong enough to definitely see warnings, maybe even a named storm, if this run did come off. I highly doubt it'll play out exactly like this in terms of its intensities and its positioning, but this just shows you there is potential through Friday of some quite disruptive winds and some very heavy rain as this low moves through. So all eyes need to be on this through the rest of the week. Of course, there could be warnings. I do think if anything close to this came off, there would be at least yellow warnings issued for wind, but we will just have to see how it does develop. Now, if we do look at the max temperatures over the course of the next couple of days, now you can see this afternoon not getting much above sort of 8 to 10 degrees as we've got a lot of cloud around and that cold air mass drifting in. Overnight, as I said, most areas will drop down close towards freezing. Maybe the far south and west holding off a bit because this UKV has a bit more cloud, but touching sort of 2 to 4 degrees there. Anywhere we see clearer skies, we'll see it drop towards freezing, especially in the north and the east. Into Monday, temperatures not getting much above sort of 7 or 8 degrees widely, and then finally into Monday night, once again a frost in the north and the east, wherever we see clearer skies develop. Again, if that cloud and the precipitation to our southwest is delayed by a couple of hours, then areas further southwards and westward would see a frost as well. Into Tuesday afternoon, again temperatures not too great for ahead of that low pressure system. Again, by this point, the milder hasn't fully come in, at least to low levels, so still only 6 to 8 degrees. But look at Republic of Ireland, where the milder has got in 15 or 16. Into Wednesday, it will be a very mild day, or at least milder, 10 to 13 degrees, maybe 14, 15 further westwards. But it's not going to feel all too great with all that cloud and rain. Into Thursday, once again, another mild day, 14 or 15 degrees being the top temperature, perhaps in East Anglia in the southeast, maybe into the southwest as well, but once again accompanied by heavy showers. And then finally into Friday, you can see big low pressure starting to spin up, and that will give quite some wild conditions through Friday. Now, if you look at the longer range, we'll be able to see that low pressure system through later this week, and of course, the potential for the continuation of colder conditions into April. Now, you can see the southwesterly winds coming in at the moment, turning us really unsettled, and then you can see that low being carried by the jet stream up from the southwest. Quite a severe low pressure system and going to slam the UK here. Not quite as intense as the UKV and not quite as localised, more of a widespread low pressure system but not quite as intense. So still a lot of uncertainty with it. But as it does clear eastwards, high pressure builds out into the Atlantic and we see northerly or easterly winds develop into early April. Now high pressure does eventually topple over, but we have to remember that we've got a cold air mass over the top of us. We look at those upper air temperatures. It's not all mild. You can see below freezing at 850 HPA, especially down the eastern half. So it'll be cold, it'll be frosty probably in some of those regions, at least where we have clearer skies. So yes, we do see a return of high pressure. We'll cut off showers, but it will still feel pretty chilly. But we don't just stay under high pressure. We do eventually see low pressure trying to move in, and eventually high pressure gets to our north once again, and we start to build in easterly winds. That would be unsettled, cold in the south. So GFS definitely perhaps hinting around day 10, seeing high pressure dominate, so into early April. But up until then, it will stay very unsettled, but definitely is going to remain cold into early April. Definitely a sign here though high pressure will make more of an influence, but we can't guarantee that it will be completely dry. Because the high pressure is going to be sat directly over the top of us or to our south, we can always see undercutting lows, easterly winds developing, and that can always bring cloud and showers in, keeping us unsettled. So we'll have to see what happens, but not looking like a warm high pressure system. But I probably would definitely favour a colder high pressure system with some showers and cloud around in the east than the big, mild, wet and windy southwesterlies we have coming this week. Now, if we do look at the GEM, see how that does compare. Again, northerly wind passes by over the next sort of 48 hours. That low moves in, not quite as severe, and again in different positioning to the GFS and the UKV. But as it clears to our east, we do see high pressure move to our north. But this is a pattern that I think we'd really want to avoid. It's very similar to the GFS. High pressure ridging up towards Greenland, up towards Scandinavia as well. But this is the problem we can get when we see these blocks to our north. We can see a low pressure system trapped over the top of us with high pressure around, very close by, but we'd be very unsettled and pretty chilly as well. The upper air temperatures within this low are going to be below freezing, so it won't be amazingly cold, but it will be colder than average, probably temperatures around sort of 10 degrees or so. A lot of showers and probably thunderstorms mixing in this with this as well. We've got a lot of convection around. So this is the sort of pattern where it's very subtly different to the GFS in terms of positioning of high pressure, low pressure. But instead of colder, high pressure over the top of us, a few showers, but nothing too bad, this would be very, very horrible, very rainy as well with this sort of cut-off low system developing. These sort of systems that down in the Mediterranean sometimes can give intense flooding. Now, of course, that's not going to happen in the UK because what happens in the Mediterranean, we see very warm air mixed in it, so we see a lot more convection, a lot bigger thunderstorms, things like that developing within it. But it's the same sort of pattern where it could just be relentless showers for a few days with this. Now, if we do compare it to the ECMWF, again, if we have a run through it, you can see low pressure does move in over the coming days, southwesterly winds, really quite strong low pressure system there down to our west, a bit more to the north this system here, but could be once again a bit of a name storm as that gets carried by the jet, and then eventually does clear to our east. We see a bit of northerly or easterly winds, but the high pressure struggles to get to our north, and instead we kind of have a sort of a jet stream over the top of us, high pressure to our south, low pressure to our north. This will sort of be in between. It probably wouldn't be quite as chilly, at least in the longer term. The first few days of April would be chilly. As you can see, the upper air temperatures are below freezing, but beyond that, we do see a bit of a wall of milder air moving in and generally low pressure riding the higher pressure here. So nothing too bad, but it's not looking particularly great either. If the high pressure was maybe 500 miles further northwards and eastwards, somewhere over the top of us, that 10-degree isotherm is flirting with us, it would be pretty warm and pretty dry. It would be potentially getting towards 20 degrees. But unfortunately, the jet stream's a bit too strong, flattening that ridge, keeping us not super unsettled, but still with rain, cloud, showers around. But of course, with drier spells would probably be sort of average to maybe slightly above average with the air masses as well, coming generally in from a westerly direction. So all three runs are broadly similar, trying to build high pressure to our north. Eastern WF probably more of the outlier, but definitely GFS and GEM showing cooler, potentially unsettled conditions, especially from the GEM, but nothing especially great as of yet. If we do finish by looking at the ensembles, you can see cold over the next couple of days, turning a lot milder into the week, but of course that's accompanied by some real heavy rain, and then you can see into Friday the 31st, some big spikes appearing here, or quite consistent spikes, showing you that most ensemble members have that low moving in, just depending on how intense it is. And then beyond that, there is a trend towards slightly drier conditions. Precipitation doesn't eradicate itself, it definitely does reduce as there are more runs, probably like the GFS operational run. But we have to look that the upper air temperatures are a good few degrees below average. Once again, don't understand why the 1981-2010 mean is not continuing into April, but if we extrapolate it, we would continue to be average to below average through the first week to 10 days of April, with some quite chilly runs appearing there. Equally, some milder runs, but nothing particularly warm. Nothing really getting much above 5 degrees, a few flirting above it right at the end, but no consistent signal of 5 to 10 degrees, which is the upper air temperatures you'd want if you wanted warmer and drier conditions. Again, if we look at the sea level pressure, you can see this real big dip around the 31st to the 1st, down to 990 millibars from some of the runs, just showing you that that low is kind of coming from the majority of Ensemble members, just depending on how deep it does get. In the longer term, there is a shift to higher pressure. You can see the operational run definitely is higher pressure than most of the other Ensemble members, just showing you probably more are favoured for the GEM run with low pressure closer by. Again, if you look at the 2 meter temperatures, again, bit of a spike this upcoming week around Wednesday, Thursday time, but of course it's accompanied by a lot of heavy rain, so it won't feel all too warm apart from when we see perhaps a few glimpses of sunshine for a few hours here or there, but 14 or 15 degrees then, before it generally is back down to sort of 10 or 11 into early April. Of course, increasing sunshine amounts will mean that even sort of a 0 degree upper air temperatures into April will still give rising temperatures, probably up to sort of 15 degrees by the end of the month. But of course, it is still not ideal. We still want something a bit drier and warmer. Now, if you just finish by looking at the ECMWF, pretty similar. You can see colder over the next couple of days, rise above the 1981-2010 mean for a few days, but of course accompanied by a lot of rain. And then the longer term, it does go slightly drier, but still quite a lot of unsettled patterns here from the majority of the Ensemble members. And you can see the 1981-2010 mean line is here, but you can see from around the 2nd to the 9th, it is just a straight line, which means that for some reason the data is not loading there. But we can sort of, again, extrapolate it as generally average to below average, at least for the first week, maybe trending slightly above average around the sort of 8th or 9th. So again, very similar to the GFS, cooler and probably remaining fairly unsettled. But there is the chance we got something like the GFS operational run, where we do see perhaps some more higher pressure building in. But we will have to see what happens with that. All our eyes do have to be, though, on the rest of the week and the rest of the month. We've got some colder conditions over the next sort of 48 hours. Then we've got some quite lively conditions with some thunderstorms and some heavier showers through the middle of the week. And then potentially quite a severe low pressure system or even named storm coming in for Friday. And then once all that's gone, we'll be able to see what April has in store, whether we will see anything drier or warmer, or whether we continue this generally cool and unsettled trend. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.